Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the FedEx Forum in Memphis, Tennessee. And I gotta say, tonight's Raw, I thought this was a entertaining, fun, good show. You know, it was surprising Raw was good tonight, and that was fun and entertaining. It was an improvement over last week's show, which was fucking terrible, and it was better than the Raw shows that we got, for most of 2018, which were shit. So tonight was definitely an improvement over last week's show. Was it a perfect show tonight? No, but still, it was a good, fun, entertaining show, and it felt fresh, in my opinion. So let's get started with the review. So Raw opened up tonight with Braun Strowman coming out. He made his way down to the ring. He got on the mic and he was saying how Brock Lesnar has always been afraid of him. And I'm like, oh, Lesnar has always been afraid of you. That's why Lesnar ended up beating you, a whole lot, a few times before. So, and Strowman goes on to say, when he had the Money in the Bank contract, Lesnar was looking over his shoulder, or when, Lesnar ended up, ripping the door off the cage to stop him from winning the title. And he goes on to say also at the World Cup, he had Lesnar had Baron Corbin attack him, preventing Strowman from winning the Universal Championship. And Strowman goes on to say he's all healed up, and Baron Corbin is no longer in power, and that there is no one to save Lesnar. And Strowman goes on to say that at Chase Field, at the Royal Rumble in Phoenix, he will get the Universal Championship, and the only thing Lesnar is going to get is these hands. And so Baron Corbin ends up coming out. He says to Strowman that he may not run Raw anymore. And Strowman, kept on interrupting him. Corbin says if he stays up on the stage for 5 minutes, it will last longer than he had with Lesnar. And Corbin goes on to say that all Strowman does is let the people down, because he can't beat Lesnar. And Corbin says he will focus on the Royal Rumble match, possibly win it, and go to the main event at WrestleMania, which, God, we all don't want to see. We all don't want that to happen. And, Corbin is pretty much not going to win the Rumble match. We all know that. And so, after Corbin said that, Strowman ended up getting out of the ring. He chases after Corbin. Corbin ended up running to the back. And it was shown, Strowman was shown backstage. He was looking for Corbin. Because Strowman was like, oh, where's Baron Corbin? Does anyone see Baron Corbin? And he sees Sunil Singh over there. He asks, oh, where's Baron Corbin? And so Strowman ends up throwing Sunil Singh over, table. And Strowman was still looking for Corbin. He ends up seeing a limo that was parked in the garage, which that limo, before Strowman came out to talk about Lesnar, it was shown that Vince was in the limo. So that was Vince's limo. So Vince ended up getting out of it. And Elias was shown. He was singing how Baron Corbin runs his mouth, saying it's no surprise, and he knows where he went. And so all we see is Strowman there, and Elias says to Strowman that Corbin is hiding, and he's in the limo. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Elias says, Corbin is hiding, and he's in the limo to Braun Strowman. And Strowman ends up going to the limo, and he ends up kicking on the rear view mirrors. He takes the limo driver out. He pretty much basically throws the limo driver, out of the limo. And Strowman then goes to this box that was there. It looked like a toolbox. And he ends up retrieving which looked like, I think it was a pipe. It was like a black pipe. And he has the pipe in his hand. He ends up hitting the limo window, one of the limo windows, the back limo window, with the pipe. He cracks the window, rips the door off, and Corbin, was inside. And Strowman ends up telling Corbin to run. So Corbin ends up running, and Vince is shown. And Strowman and Vince didn't, say anything, and it was like Vince's facial reaction to what happened. And Vince's face, the look on Vince's face was like, "Oh, what the hell? What the hell did you do to the limo? To the door of the limo?" And then it went to commercial. I thought that was funny, the way how the reaction on Vince's face. It was really funny. And then when Raw came back from the commercial, Vince and Strowman were still in the garage. Strowman was trying to put the door back on the limo, but it fell off. So Vince ends up going to Strowman that. Vince ends up saying to Strowman that Strowman is like a human wrecking ball. And Vince ends up telling him, "Look what he's done to the car." And he ends up telling Strowman that it's going to cost him $100,000 for the limo, for the damage to the limo. So Strowman ends up telling Vince that this crap doesn't cost that much. And so Vince, by Strowman's response to that to Vince ends up telling Strowman to forget about the match with Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. So Strowman is not getting his shot against Lesnar, which I think it's a good thing in my opinion, because we already seen how many times Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman, and Strowman ends up keeping on losing to losing to Lesnar. If this match took place, if they were still going on with this match, 100% Strowman was not going to win the Universal Championship. I can tell you that. He would have lost to Lesnar again. And so after Vince announces that to Strowman, we've seen this before with Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman goes to lift the limo, and he ends up flipping the limo over, just like he did with the ambulance. But we saw this before with Strowman. It was nothing new. So it was just a repeat of when he flipped over the ambulance. Instead of here, it was a limo. So then it was shown Braun Strowman. He was being kicked out of the arena. Security was escorting him out, so he had to leave the arena. Corbin ends up coming out, ends up laughing at how Strowman was escorted out of the arena. So we saw that. Then we had Ronda Rousey and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Tamina. Tag team match. And I gotta say, this was a decent match. Ronda was pretty decent in the match, along with Sasha. Ronda and Sasha, I think they make a good team together. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Ronda and Sasha, I think they make a good tag team together. They showed some pretty good wrestling here, taking down Nia Jax and Tamina. And Ronda, Rousey, and Sasha end up winning the match. Sasha ended up locking in the bank statement on Tamina. Tamina ended up tapping out. And so Ronda and Sasha win the match. Then after the match, Charlie Caruso, she ended up interviewing Ronda and Sasha. Ronda says, it's not easy to trust, each other because they respect each other, both of them. And Ronda's going on to say it's a real honor to tag with Sasha tonight and then defend the title against her at the Royal Rumble. And she says a victory over Sasha would be her greatest accomplishment. And Sasha says she's glad Ronda already picked where she ranks on her list of accomplishments. And Ronda says, that's not what Ronda ends up telling Sasha that's not what she meant. And she's going to do everything she can to tap her out. And Sasha then takes offense to this. And when Sasha ends up speaking to Ronda to this, that really memory of how we remember Sasha when she was in NXT, where she had that heel persona in her. That Sasha came out tonight while cutting this promo, this segment, and Sasha, like I said, Sasha took offense to that and ends up telling her to ask Nia Jax, for Ronda to ask Nia Jax and Tamina how the bank statement feels. So Sasha says she'll face any woman, any size, any place, anywhere. And it will be her pleasure to teach Ronda how to lose with class. And so Ronda ends up saying to Sasha that she can teach her by example and keep the title of world's classiest loser because she doesn't want it. And so Sasha questions the idea that that she's a loser and reminds Ronda that last week Ronda said she was the best. Told Sasha that she was the best. And she ends up saying that she's not scared of her and has to learn how to deal with not getting her way. Because at the Royal Rumble, Ronda's going to be tapped into the bank statement. And Ronda can bank on that, as what Sasha said. And so Sasha leaves the ring. Ronda goes after her. Ronda ends up grabbing Sasha's shoulder, and she ends up begging Sasha again. And Sasha, then, just goes away. She walks to the back. And that was that. But I'm really looking forward to seeing Ronda versus Sasha for the title at Royal Rumble. I think it's going to be a good match. It's going to be a decent match between the both of them. Who knows who's possibly going to win? I know they're possibly going to make Ronda win so she can keep the title on her. Ronda, I think, is going to drop the title at WrestleMania. So that's how the way I see it, and how possibly WWE is going to plan that. So, but all in all, it was a decent tag team match between Ronda and Sasha versus Nia and Tamina. And then we went backstage. Ronda and Sasha were arguing. Bayley and Natalya were there to calm them down. Bayley and Natalya, were bickering, sticking up for them. They end up telling Ronda and Sasha to go to their rooms or whatever. And that's when Bayley and Natalya were bickering. And the Riott Squad come. And Ruby Riott says to Bayley and Natalya, Ruby says everybody else is falling apart while they're sticking together. Her, Liv Morgan, and Sarah Logan. And Liv Morgan ends up calling Bayley a sad face emoji, and Natalya, ends up telling them off. Riott says they love taking bad situations and making it worse, and she challenges Bayley and Natalya to a trios match, to a 6-woman tag team match. If they can find a friend, if Bayley and Natalya could find somebody else. And so that was that. Then we had the Revival versus Kalisto and Gran Metalik of the Lucha House Party tag team match. We've seen this before. We've seen the Revival and Lucha House Party in those Lucha House Rules match that they had. So it was nothing new here with them. Although the Revival ended up getting the win, Dash Wilder ended up pushing Gran Metalik's leg off the bottom rope. And so the Revival ended up getting the win. So, which is good. So, but all in all, it was a match that we've seen before. So it was nothing new. And during this match, I forgot to mention, during the Revival and Kalisto and Gran Metalik match, we had Dasha Fuentes, who was trying to get an answer from Vince McMahon, who Brock Lesnar's opponent will be at the Royal Rumble, to face, for one of the competitors to face Brock for the Universal Championship. And we saw Apollo Crews there, and EC3 made his debut. It was just 3 seconds, and he didn't even say anything. So we saw EC3, one of the NXT call-ups, him, Lacey Evans, Heavy Machinery, and Nikki Cross. So we saw EC3, and it was kind of cool seeing EC3 for that little second. It was a little cameo appearance. Then after the Revival versus Kalisto and Gran Metalik, Vince McMahon came out, and he came out to announce who will face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. And then John Cena's music hits as Vince is trying to speak. John Cena comes out, and he ends up telling Vince that he gave him a lot of chances, and he wants Vince to give him another chance, and that he won't let him down. So Cena ends up telling Vince that he will walk into the Rumble and beat Brock Lesnar and become a 17-time champion. And he ends up saying to Vince that he has nothing that every WWE star has, and that is ruthless aggression. And this just brings me back memories of when Cena said that when he was facing Kurt Angle in his WWE debut match, which was on SmackDown. So, because he also said that to Kurt Angle, if you all remember. And Drew McIntyre comes out. He ends up saying, "How dare Cena?" That he ends up going on to say that he doesn't care if Cena talks about his 16 championships, and he doesn't care about his movies. And he ends up saying, "How dare Cena stands in the ring with a straight face and say that he still has ruthless aggression." Sorry about that, but I was saying, McIntyre, said, how dare Cena stands in the ring with a straight face and say that Cena still has ruthless aggression. And so McIntyre goes to Vince and says, "This is what ruthless aggression looks like," meaning him. And he ends up telling Cena his time is up, and tells Vince that his time is now. And so McIntyre ends up telling Cena that he can leave, just like Stone Cold and The Rock. And so Baron Corbin comes out saying his life was threatened by Braun Strowman, and he ends up telling Vince what's best for business, and that if Vince can give him a shot against Brock Lesnar. Wow. Let's throw Baron Corbin in this. And so Finn Balor comes out. Finn Balor, of course, had a good match at NXT UK Takeover Blackpool. I forgot to say NXT UK Takeover Blackpool was a good show. It was a very entertaining show. I really enjoy NXT UK. They just started doing shows, and it's been really entertaining. It's been really entertaining so far. I really like some of the stars on that show, like the Kofi brothers. Zach. Sorry about that again. Keep getting interrupted. But I was saying, Finn Balor comes out, and Finn Balor, he had a really good match at NXT UK Takeover Blackpool, which was the very first NXT UK Takeover show. And that show, it was on Saturday, and I really enjoyed the show. It was a very good show, and I enjoy NXT UK. I like some of the stars on there, like Zach Gibson, the Coffee Brothers, Tony Storm, Rhea Ripley, Pete Dunne, Mustache Mountain, and Finn Balor had a match, and he ended up taking on Jordan Devlin at TakeOver Blackpool. It was originally supposed to be Jordan Devlin versus Travis Banks, but Travis Banks was being removed from the building because he injured himself because he did a suicide dive on Jordan Devlin, and so Travis Banks got injured, and so Balor was his replacement. Balor was Travis Banks' replacement, and this is why, from I read an article, Balor is getting a push because of the match that he had at TakeOver Blackpool. And so Balor comes out and says he's tired of being left out of these conversations, and that he is the only person who has ever been Universal Champion. That's right, because he held the Universal Championship, but he never lost it. He just relinquished it. And Vince says to Balor that he's got agility and speed, and that he is a big competitor. Balor then says to Vince that Vince never believed in him, and he knows Vince is stubborn, and nothing's going to change his mind. And he shows Vince. So Balor punches Corbin, and McIntyre, we saw McIntyre end up punching Cena, and McIntyre then ends up hitting a Claymore kick to Balor, and McIntyre then ends up hitting another Claymore kick to Cena. And Vince likes what he sees, and he announces that there will be a fatal 4-way match to determine who is going to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. So, but I thought this was a good segment. I like how Balor looks like he's going to be getting his push. So, and then after this, we saw Jinder Mahal. He goes to Vince McMahon. He ends up sucking up to Vince, saying that he doesn't like how he isn't considered in the Fatal 4-Way match. Why would we want to see Jinder Mahal in the Fatal 4-Way match? Who would want to see that? We all know that Jinder will not win it. So Vince says, does everyone think we will want to see him facing Brock Lesnar? Of course not, because Lesnar would destroy him. So Vince says for Jinder to choose one of the 4 men who's in the Fatal 4-Way match. And if he wins, if Jinder wins, he will replace that guy in the Fatal 4-Way match. And so Jinder ends up making his pick. And he ends up wanting to face Finn Balor. So yeah, Jinder Mahal versus Finn Balor. Do I need to say who will win that? And then we had Bayley, Natalya, and the partner they're choosing that they found versus the Riott Squad: Ruby Riott, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan. 6-woman tag team match. And it is revealed that Bayley and Natalya's third partner was revealed to be Nikki Cross. So yeah, so Nikki Cross, one of the stars that they kept on advertising for NXT call-ups, was Bayley and Natalya's third partner. And it was good seeing Nikki Cross. The commentators said that this was only going to be for this night, because they're going to let the NXT call-ups perform on both brands, on both Raw and SmackDown. So this is like a test to see which of the NXT superstars would sign with. Will they sign with Raw or SmackDown, whichever they're comfortable with. If I were to see where Nikki Cross goes, hopefully she goes to SmackDown. Hopefully she gets paired up with Sandy again. And because Sandy is just on the other sidelines, not doing anything. So it would be good for Nikki Cross to be on SmackDown with Sandy, because maybe it'll get Sandy to compete and have more matches again. So if I was WWE, I would put Nikki Cross on SmackDown, because if they put her on Raw, what the hell are they gonna do with Nikki Cross? They're just gonna have her sit out in catering. So I always say that because when I say catering, I always think of watching JD from New York 206 videos where if none of the superstars are even on the show, he's like, oh yeah, they're in Titus Catering. So yeah, I like JD from New York 206's videos. If you haven't checked out his channel, go check it out. Speaks the truth about wrestling and WWE here. Gives his own thoughts on what he thinks is going to take place. So he makes a whole lot of sense when he does his videos. When he does his Raw and SmackDown reviews, which are highly entertaining. So, but don't want to see Nikki Cross on Raw. Let her go to SmackDown, because she deserves to be there, because it'll be good. Like I said, pair her back with Sandy, because that's how it always was. That's how it was in NXT. That's what I want to see on SmackDown. Nikki Cross goes to SmackDown, be paired back with Sandy. So, but all in all, this match itself, it was entertaining. Nikki Cross was very entertaining also. Bayley, Natalya, and Nikki Cross ended up getting the win. Bayley ended up hitting a flying elbow to Liv Morgan. Nikki Cross actually first did the neck breaker to Liv Morgan. Then Bayley ended up hitting the flying elbow on Liv. Bayley ended up pinning Liv, and Bayley, Natalya, and Nikki Cross end up winning the match. But all in all, it was a decent match. Nikki Cross Very entertaining. Always been a fan of Nikki Cross. Then we had Dean Ambrose end up cutting a promo saying he's right about him and wrong about his opponents to face him for the Intercontinental Championship. And that Seth Rollins and Bobby Lashley weaseled their way into the match. And he also says that Seth is not going to take away his Intercontinental Championship. So it's a triple threat match tonight for the Intercontinental Championship. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins versus Bobby Lashley. So it was a pretty good promo from Dean Ambrose. Then we have Finn Balor versus Jinder Mahal. Do I need to say who wins this match? But Finn Balor ended up getting the win. And at first when the match got underway, when Balor made his entrance, he was on the top, doing his moves like that. There was Samir Sin ends up knocking Balor off, and that gave Jinder Mahal to take control of the match. So Finn Balor ended up getting the win. Coup de grace on Jinder Mahal to score the win. So Balor still moving on to the Fatal 4-Way. There was no way in hell that Jinder was going to win this. Why? To me, this was pointless. This was a pointless match. So then we had Lio Rush. He ended up cutting a promo saying that Bobby Lashley is a fighter. And he's going to become the Intercontinental Champion, whether we like it or not. He says tonight in the triple threat match, both Seth and Dean better come to collect, because Lashley is going to collect and win the Intercontinental Championship. And Charlie Cruz. Then the match got underway. Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose triple threat match, Intercontinental Championship. Before that, Charlie Caruso was interviewing Seth Rollins. So we had that. So the match itself, this was a pretty good triple threat match. It was very entertaining. Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose at a point in the match were working together to take down Bobby Lashley. And Dean Ambrose and Bobby Lashley were working together to take down Seth Rollins. And one point outside of the match, on the outside, you had Bobby Lashley end up hitting, vertical, I think it was suplex to Seth Rollins on the outside. And then Bobby Lashley ended up suplexing Dean Ambrose on the outside. And the match ended with Bobby Lashley spearing Dean Ambrose. Bobby Lashley goes for the pin. And Bobby Lashley is your new Intercontinental Champion. So there was that. Bobby Lashley is your new Intercontinental Champion. So all in all, it was a good triple threat match. Really enjoyed it. Then we had after that match, we saw a crew member who was knocking on Alexa Bliss's door. He ended up having her coffee there, her latte, and ends up telling her that she's up next because we're going to get another Moment of Bliss talk show segment. And Alexa doesn't answer. And so the crew member opens the door, and we see Alexa holding her top up with her hands. And the crew member apologizes as Alexa tells him to set her coffee on the table and leave. So, that was kind of a throwback to, like Tori Wilson, Eve, like the, like 2000. It felt like 2002, over again with the woman with Tori Wilson. So, but yeah, as what Jerry Lawler would say, you know, puppies. Whenever a woman back then, you know, were like that, you know, you always heard Jerry Lawler go, puppies. So, Jerry Lawler, the memories of when he used to do that, when the women were, you know, were dressed like that. So we had Alexa Bliss come out for you know, Moment of Bliss, her talk show. She ends up talking about how Vince announced the women's tag titles, and she goes on to say that she has the inside information, and she announces that in 5 weeks at the Elimination Chamber, 3 teams, each from Raw and SmackDown, will compete inside the chamber, with the winning team being crowned the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions. And yes, when they said 3 teams from Raw and SmackDown, that means that the Women's Tag Team Championships are going to be unified, meaning that whoever wins, they get to take the other titles to either brand, whether, you know, it's a Raw, if it's 2 Raw superstars, women superstars, or 2 SmackDown women superstars. So, like, let's say if they have a match and a SmackDown woman superstar wants to challenge a Raw woman superstar, and if the SmackDown women's superstar tag teams, you know, pin the Raw women's superstar, then the woman from the SmackDown women's division tag team, they get to take the women's tag team championships to their brand. So that's how it is. I know I might have confused you all just by explaining that, but the women's tag team championships are going to be on either brand. So it's unified. It's a unified championship, which is good. And the women's tag team championships, when they first were revealed, I thought, in my opinion, I thought they looked really ugly. But as I watched the video back and looked at them again, I'm like, you know what? These aren't that bad. They look pretty good to me. So I had to rewatch the unveiling of when Alexa unveiled them, you know, over. So they look pretty good to me. They actually look, you know, good looking, in my opinion. So we got that news, and she then introduces her guest, who was Paul Heyman. So Paul Heyman comes out. Alexa ends up saying, you know, it's been a wild night. She ends up telling Paul Heyman it's been a wild night, and asks what's going on in Paul's head. And Heyman says emotions play no part in it, and that it's a strategy that particularly guarantees that Brock Lesnar will retain the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. And he goes on to say, you can line up all 4 of these top challengers and Brock would eat through them. And, you know, would eat through them individually or en masse. And he says, but why clean out the entire heavyweight division? So there can only be one. And he goes on to say, who will it be? John Cena? Drew McIntyre? And he ends up saying that John Cena is the pontiff of hustle, loyalty, and respect. He says Drew McIntyre, and he was like, he'd be lying if he didn't admit that he had his eyes, that Heyman had his eyes on McIntyre, and he says he's guaranteed to be to be champion someday, just not now. And he goes on to say Baron Corbin, you know, he's not the most popular guy with the fans. And then we see Oz Dozovic of Heavy Machinery. Sorry about that again, but we saw Oz Dozovic, and he has wandered out to the stage, and this was very funny and cringy at the same time, but I couldn't help but laugh. But he was making noises, and he was shaking, and he's like, "Oh, Bushaka Lola," But it was very funny. I enjoy Dosovic and Tucker Knight, which Tucker Knight did come out. He runned out to Carl Otis as Otis ended up shouting, "Pretty lady" at Alexa. But I enjoy Otis and Tucker, Heavy Machinery, when they were in NXT. They were a good tag team and very entertaining. And looks like they're going to be a comedy act on the main roster. So, oh yeah, we did see Lacey Evans backstage. I think she was with Dana Brooke and another woman superstar there. But we did see a cameo appearance by Lacey Evans. So that was cool to see. It was cool to see her. And back to the end of the segment, but they end up leaving, Otis and Tucker, and the bell rings, and the Fatal 4-Way match gets announced, and then they just go to commercial, just randomly. I'm like, I burst out laughing when I went to commercial. I was like, what the fuck? Oh man, but Otis Dosovic coming out, it was just funny, cringy, and random, all at the same time. But yeah, we saw that, but it was funny though. But hopefully, Heavy Machinery, hopefully they end up going to SmackDown. I would like to see them on SmackDown, because SmackDown, they only use 3 tag teams. And that is the New Day, the Usos, and the Bar. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, they're not used. Sandy, they're not used. So this would be good for Heavy Machinery to go to SmackDown. So we need some tag teams on SmackDown, since they're not even using Gallows and Anderson or Sandy. So I like to see Heavy Machinery go to SmackDown. Then we had the main event, the Fatal 4-Way. Finn Balor versus John Cena versus Drew McIntyre versus Baron Corbin. Winner gets to face Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. This was a very good Fatal 4-Way match. This was a good main event. Very entertaining match. At this point that, Balor was going to win this match, considering WWE is giving him a push. So, but all 4 of these guys were a good match. Finn Balor, John Cena, Drew McIntyre were decent. The match very fun. Baron Corbin, it was just Baron Corbin. But Balor ended up getting the win. Ended up winning the match. So we all knew that Finn Balor was going to win it. So now it's going to be Finn Balor versus Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship. Sadly, to me, Balor is possibly going to lose this match. Only I can see if Balor wins this. Balor could win this at the Rumble if he comes out as the Demon. That is only I would see how Balor will win this at the Royal Rumble, if he comes out as the Demon. If he doesn't come out as the Demon, Brock Lesnar is retaining. So, it would suck if Balor was still the Demon and he lost to Lesnar. That would be terrible. But after the match, John Cena gets on the mic. He says to Balor that he said earlier in the night that Vince didn't believe in him, and that only the people believed in him. And so Cena goes, he's got one more person who believes in him. That was Cena himself. And they shake hands, Balor and Cena. And Cena's like, oh, here's your winner who's going to face Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble for the Universal Championship, Finn Balor. And so that's how Raw ended. But hopefully we see the Demon at the Royal Rumble. Balor comes out as the Demon, faces Brock Lesnar. If he doesn't, that's going to be disappointing. And we all know if WWE doesn't make Finn Balor come out as the Demon at the Rumble to face Lesnar, Lesnar is going to retain the title. So, but if Balor comes out as the Demon, that's a good sign that he might win the Universal Championship. Only if he comes out as the Demon. That's how I see it. So, yeah. So, anyways, the Fatal 4-Way match. It was a good main event, very fun match, and enjoyed it a whole lot. So, yeah. So, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. Definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all back here tomorrow night for the SmackDown review. So until then, I'll see you all back here tomorrow night.